The Great Shark Hunt, Part 2, YouTube script. Welcome back to the Ghost of Gonzo Hour. I am Hunter S Thompson, resurrected from the dirt and bourbon-soaked eternity, still screaming at the American void. In Part 1, we crawled aboard the floating madhouse of the so-called prestigious shark hunt in Mexico. But if you thought it was bad when the hammerhead came up thrashing, oh no, you poor bastards haven't seen the half of it. This is Part 2. When the tequila floods the bloodstream, when the ocean turns into a circus arena, and when sharks aren't the only predators circling the water. The boats, floating asylums. Each boat was its own asylum. You had oil tycoons in white captain's hats screaming orders like deranged admirals. You had their girlfriends tanning topless on the deck, tossing empties into the water like drunken sirens. You had crews that hadn't slept in 48 hours, sweating rum through their pores, reeking of diesel and cheap cigarettes. I rode with one pack of lunatics who called themselves the Red Tide. They carried more booze than bait. Their strategy was to get so plastered that the sharks would simply give up out of pity. And it almost worked. The madness builds. Out on the open water, time ceased to exist. Morning bled into afternoon, which bled into the purple haze of evening, and all the while the rum kept flowing. Every splash in the water sent the drunks lunging for rods, convinced it was a monster shark. Half the time it was trash. The Gulf of Mexico is full of garbage, but these maniacs treated every beer can bobbing in the waves like it was Moby Dick. And when an actual shark hit the line, all hell broke loose. Grown men screamed like children. Deckhands slipped in pools of chum. Blood sprayed across the sunburned flesh of millionaires who had never worked a day in their lives. Writer's role, observer and victim. I scribbled into my notebook while trying not to puke into the sea. The combination of sun, tequila, and the constant throb of the engines was enough to drive a sane man to madness. But I was not a sane man. I was Hunter S Thompson, and this was exactly where I belonged. Deep in the belly of depravity, writing the filthy truth while my brain melted into mescaline soup. At some point, a deckhand offered me a line of cocaine off a bait knife. I declined, not because I was above it, but because I could barely see straight. The horizon itself was swaying like a drunk in a Kentucky Derby infield. I needed clarity, at least enough to document the collapse of reason. The sharks strike back. Then came the moment of revenge. A monstrous shark, maybe 12 feet long, maybe more, surged out of the deep blue and tore through a line like it was dental floss. The rod snapped. A man nearly went overboard. Panic spread across the deck like wildfire. For the first time all day, the hunters looked like prey. And in that instant, I felt a wave of perverse joy. The sharks weren't here to play along with the human circus. They were here to feed. The so-called sport suddenly looked like what it really was, a grotesque duel between bored millionaires and primal ocean killers. The meltdown. By nightfall, half the fleet was drunker than Roman senators. Boats drifted too close together, shouting matches broke out. Bottles smashed, and someone even fired a pistol into the air to scare the sharks. The only thing it scared was the Coast Guard, who circled nervously at the edge of the madness, unwilling to get too close. The hunt was no longer about sharks. It was about ego, chaos, and survival. And that, my friends, was only the middle stretch. The real nightmare was still ahead. Because as the booze dried up, paranoia set in. Betrayals bubbled to the surface. The line between celebration and riot blurred until it was just one great bloody smear across the sea. Stick around for Part 3, where the great shark hunt descends into complete anarchy. Mutinies on the boats, blood in the water, and the twisted epiphany that this so-called sport was just a mirror held up to the American soul. Spoiler, it ain't pretty. This is Hunter S Thompson, the Ghost of Gonzo Hour, signing off for now. Head over to YouTube, Etris Tuntone 10. Slam that subscribe button like it owes you money. And don't forget the Ghost of Gonzo Hour on Podbean, where the doctor comes back AI style to haunt your soft little brains. Punch the ticket, take the ride, the sharks are waiting.